Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're unboxing and deep diving into a brand new release by Tamiya. It's the HotShot II Jun Watanabe's Blockhead motor. Now this is a little bit controversial. I'll talk about that later on in the video. Now we haven't seen this kit since 1991. They've changed it around, but we'll get onto that, but you get the idea. So in this video, we'll unbox it, take a look at it, look at all the differences, and what I want to know is how much work would it be to turn this into a box art HotShot II? Can it be done? Well, let's find out. Hit it, Charlie! Right, before we open the box, let's just admire this beautiful artwork. Yes, stunning. Tamiya really know how to do it, and they've done it consistently forever. And yeah, I feel like that has loads of value, and it's probably helped Tamiya become what it is today. Right, let's get this body off. Okay, so presentation wise, well, it's not ultra basic, but don't expect any blister packs or anything like that. You get a nice bit of branding on the side here and the usual sort of separator. So one thing that we can tell straight away, yes, a lot of parts that were red in the HotShot II vintage kit are now in this kind of chrome finish. Now, I'm pretty sure you won't be able to dye these if you wanted to do them red because they're kind of coated. So you'd have to kind of paint that, spray it if you wanted to do it in the red. So a bit of a challenge if you were going to try and do the box art HotShot. Whether you can get replacement ones of these, well, you could do the HotShot parts. They're in red. That's probably a better way to go. Then we've got the adjusted roll cage. Now, I'm interested to find out what part they actually modified. Have they actually changed the whole roll cage? Is it a completely different one, or have they just changed the way it mounts onto the body? I guess we'll find out. I have got my original HotShot, so we will look into that in this video. ESC, still good to see an ESC. Yes, it's not a Tamiya one, still having issues. Rims, they are done in chrome, just like the other parts. I don't actually mind this. It's actually not a bad finish at all. The original one, they were white. Not sure how easy it would be to get original ones. I'm not sure if they're the same as the Boomerang. If they are, then getting hold of white ones might be a little bit easier. Top part of the chassis. Now this is interesting because there is a plate that goes in here and it says Blockhead on it. Now unfortunately I don't have a HotShot II to do a direct comparison, so I'll look up some images because I want to check to see if they've actually modified this compared to the original, because that would be a real issue if you're looking to do a conversion. The under tray section. Now I don't know if that's original or not. I honestly don't know. Comment below, let me know. I've never had a HotShot II, unfortunately. So will we see a HotShot II box version from Tamiya? I honestly don't know. I hope so. Maybe in the second half of the year. Standard tyres, nothing super special about those. The gearbox, rear gearbox housing, and the front diff, nothing's changed on that as far as I can tell. No different at all. What else have we got here? What's that? The center tub? Well, we'll have to look into that a bit more. What I think I'll do is I'll get the original manual and then we can compare it. That will definitely give me more comparisons. Then you have the painted body and pre-cut out. Obviously this is brilliant for people that put off by doing the body themselves. Bit of a limitation if you're thinking about doing a conversion to the HotShot box art original one, as that's not going to fly, but you can get reproduction ones as well. And then you've got that plate, plastic plate that goes on the front and the rear. Something that's very different to the original HotShot. What else have we got? Then we've got the manual. We'll look at that in a minute. Let's have a look in this box and see what's in here. Right. Let's see what's in here, shall we? So we've got the gears. Nothing special there, no changes. Arms, up and lower. Arms, no change at all from the original one. Got a big bag of bearings. Silver can motor. One thing that we have seen, oh, let me open it up. We can open it up and have a look. The motor actually had a sticker on it. Now this would be really cool to put one of these in the Blockhead Wild one as well. So I might try and get one for that. Just a little upgrade to the Wild one. Then you've got your uprights. Usual bags. That's just your oil, diffs, zip ties, and then there's the plates pre-cut out for you that go on the side with the numbers on, so you don't have to cut them out yourself, which is a little bit different because when you did the Blockhead Wild one, you had to cut out the actual plates yourself. The metal roof and the nod to the vintage resistor, it's just the outside section. What I might do is, I have a few of these, is maybe I'll actually fit a real one. I do like that idea, that's pretty cool, but obviously no one's going to run those kind of electronics in this. There it is, you get a better look at it. Metal gears, metal out drives. Now that's an upgrade. That's the prop shaft. That's got to be. Where's the say goodbye to the coat hanger version, so that's nice to see. And I think the actual drive shafts might be a bit different. We'll have to compare that and see. But yeah, I do like that, I must admit. I wouldn't mind getting a few of those for my HotShot and my Super Shot. What else have we got in here? Old school aerial. It's cool to see. Then we've got the shocks, obviously in yellow, CVA shocks. More lights. Jun Watanabe likes to put lots of spotlights on the car. And then there's the lenses. You have to cut out all your own lenses. And then the driver. What else have we got in here? Up and lower front arms. And other parts for the shocks. Right, let's see if we can compare the difference between the HotShot II manual and the HotShot Blockhead Motors. Right, so I've looked through the manual and I've also looked through the HotShot II manual. So what we're going to do is go through and I'll point out all the changes that I've noticed. The manual is completely in a different order to the original HotShot II. The original HotShot II starts off with the electronic servo for the steering, whereas in this one you start on the rear gearbox, then you mount it to the chassis, and then you look at doing the electronics later. So they've changed round the whole setup massively. Now the first thing I can say is the actual gearboxes look to be identical. There's no real difference at all from what I can see. So if you're trying to restore a HotShot 2 using the G4 using the G4 cases is all going to be fine, as well as all the gear sets. The motor, well, the motor's slightly different obviously because it's got a label on it, but mounting wise it's identical. There's no issues there. The original HotShot 2, that used a mechanical speed controller that was exactly the same as the one that I just used in my Fox when I did the restoration. Obviously in this you don't use that at all. It's been set up to run as an electronic speed controller. All the arms look to be exactly the same, so you can use those, but I don't think there's any difference between that and the HotShot ones, so it wasn't exactly difficult to get hold of arms. The actual drive shafts, they are different. They're MB15s in here. They are a different machined part, so again it's going to be different. The prop shaft is completely different to the original HotShot 2. That was a long metal bar with a loop on each end. This is a much better improvement and much more modern. All the out drives seem to be exactly the same. The uprights are exactly the same. The anti-roll bar was the same as it was on the HotShot 2. See, we're on page 11 when we get to the actual servo, and this is basically step 1 and step 2 of the HotShot manual. The actual bottom chassis, as far as I can see, doesn't look to be any different, but I could be wrong. One of the biggest issues that you're going to have is the actual top mount chassis part of the HotShot II Blockhead, completely different. The original HotShot II had the driver body in the top. They've actually changed this whole top section, so you cannot use that at all. The driver in the HotShot II Blockhead is a separate unit, whereas you just used to bolt the head directly onto the chassis in the original ones. The anti-roll bars that actually are fitted to the Blockhead one, completely different, but in many different ways. This section round here that is angled, which it was round. This mount here was just a stick out single part on the HotShot II, whereas here it has an extra span on it. The actual bars across look to be the same. So again, this is a part you cannot use at all. The front bumper, as far as I can see, it looks to be identical. It might have some different stamps inside, but the actual part looks to be the same. One thing that's really, really good is the under tray section, which was dedicated to the HotShot II, looks to be identical. So if you're missing that part, you will be able to use one of these. But I just looked online and there's none for sale currently, so people have already snapped that one up. Some small changes that I've seen: the internal bearings. The Blockhead motor kit has them pre-assembled for you, whereas in the original one you had to have part SB2, SB1 and then another SB2 on the side. They're now like a sealed unit. That's a little bit different, but the actual positioning is identical. The access point at the top of the actual chassis is different as well. They've made it much smaller, but I'm guessing that's because obviously running modern electronics, you don't need to get into it as much as you did back in the day. That was obviously one of the big gripes of having the HotShot original one, was using mechanical speed controller. Accessing the chassis meant you had to actually dismantle it and bring it into 2 pieces, which was a right faff. So in the HotShot 2, they actually cut a hole in the top of the chassis. So there is still a hole in the actual HotShot 2 chassis top, but it's much smaller on the Blockhead Motors one. So there you go, a quick unboxing of the Blockhead HotShot II. Now, what can we kind of tell from this? I'm a bit concerned that maybe we won't see a standard HotShot II. Why? The chassis was changed quite a lot. There was a whole different top section, so I don't know whether, because they've changed it so much, they're not going to bring out the standard version, which I think is a bit disappointing. And hopefully, I have my fingers crossed, in about 5 or 6 months we do see a standard one, but I don't know about that. Now, there is a few little gems in here, so if you're restoring a HotShot II, like the under tray, the front bumper, those kind of parts, I think you'll be able to use. And I know the under tray was a really difficult one to get, but converting this to a standard HotShot II, there's just too many things that have been tweaked, changed. The roll cage, that is completely different. The top of the chassis, completely different. The prop shaft is an upgrade, but again, not standard. I suppose you could get hold of one of those if you wanted to from one of the other kits. So there is some nice little upgrades that we didn't know about. The prop shaft is really nice quality. The actual gearboxes don't look to be that different. So there you go, that's a first look. Now, it should be quite easy to build this up, so you won't have to wait long for a build video. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. See you on the next one.